If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in CIMA and want to know how you can pass those all-important exams on your way to becoming a chartered accountant. Now, no one actively loves exams, but it's important not to be too nervous and know that the best way you can learn is to learn from those who've come before you and already done the CIMA exams. That's where we come in. We've asked our whole database of CIMA students how they found the experience of sitting their CIMA exams, and hopefully it will prove helpful to you. We've asked them things like how many hours a week they studied for their exams, how many weeks they studied before their exam, and what resources they used in preparation. Now, CIMA exams have changed a lot recently due to the FLP coming in. However, exams are still going to be important as everyone will have to sit the case study. And this video may even help you to decide whether you even want to sit the OT exams or go down the FLP route. So without further ado, let's see what our students said. So what exams do students find the hardest? It seems clear that case studies are harder than individual objective tests. This makes sense, as the case studies test a wider range of skills, and you have to write 3 or 4 essays under timed pressure, rather than answering multiple choice questions. They test your ability to discuss information, rather than just remembering it. A lot of our resources are devoted to the case study for each sitting, as researching and practicing exam technique is just as important as remembering theory. For the OT exams, you can see here that the P pillar is generally much harder than the other pillars, and this has been the case for years. The P pillar challenges you to implement strategy and management accounting and involves more systems for calculating, which tests your quantitative skills. Now, some people might prefer the enterprise or financial pillar, and some might really enjoy the P pillar. This is just what most people found hardest, so don't assume that it will be the same for you. Now let's have a look at just how much people actually prepared for their OT exams. This is self-reported, so let's take it with a small grain of salt, but we found that a plurality of students spent more than 8 weeks studying, and less than 8% spent less than 2 weeks, as you can see in these diagrams here. Now, unfortunately we couldn't correlate these data with results, but most people were happy with the amount of studying they did. As you can see here, 66.5% were very happy with the amount they'd studied, and only 28% didn't think they'd studied enough. So in terms of the amount of hours they were studying, as you can see here, a majority were studying between about 5 to 15 hours per week. So we would recommend broadly this amount, around 10 hours per week at a minimum. And obviously this depends on people's needs and time constraints. But we'd recommend around 4 to 7 weeks of studying, which as you can see quite a few people here actually did, and at least 10 hours per week, but obviously we recognise this might not be possible for all students depending on family commitments or work commitments or various other things that could come up. We found that students generally revised more for their case study exams than for their objective test exams. However, more people said that they did not do enough preparation for case study, reflecting the fact that it's a more demanding exam. Because of this, we recommend that you spend around 6 to 8 weeks studying and at least 10 hours per day, which as you can see a decent amount of people here were hitting for both. Now let's move on to mock exams. Mock exams obviously help a lot and practice makes perfect, and it's therefore surprising that 16.2% of people did no mock exams for their case study preparation at all. We provide between 5 to 7 mocks per sitting, and while doing all of them isn't strictly necessary, we recommend doing at least 3 to 5, depending on how much time you have and how much practice you need. I'm throwing a lot of data your way, so let us know in the comments if any of it is surprising, and we can provide more detail behind them if needed. So what are our conclusions from this data? As you might guess, too little revision will limit your performance, but there's also such a thing as too much revision. While you're probably not too shocked to hear that after people who studied less than 2 weeks for their last OT exam, the fail rate was 100%, the fail rate was also higher for those who studied for more than 8 weeks. This makes sense, as if you go over a lot of info 2 months in advance, you probably won't remember all of it as much when you sit the exam. People's time constraints are also greater these days. Over 32% of students say that fitting their studies into their work and home life was one of their biggest challenges they've had. Finding the time and motivation can be very difficult, so forming and sticking to a schedule is key. Obviously, there's no one way to prepare, and you need to work out what will work best for you. It could be helpful to talk to someone you know who's done CIMA, like a friend or colleague, and they can talk about how they found the experience. Hopefully, hearing about how other people did it in the past has benefited you, and you can better structure your revision in the future. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please read the article in the description below, which will give you more information, as I've only covered parts of it in this, and please check out more Astranti resources to help you pass your CIMA exams. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.